Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Welcome back to In the Side of the Storm, where we talk all things Cyclones. We're live from the AKC Marketing Studio with Andrew Downs and sponsored by Revelton Distillery out of Osceola, Iowa, and Dan Douglas with Green Beret Realty. I'm Dave Larson here with my Storm Team partner, Marcus Pfizer. Marcus, I think we called you the legend the last show, if I'm not mistaken. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. And our other co-host, Brent Curvey, who is now, didn't we call him have another name for him? Vintage. Vintage Brent Curvey. He may join us here shortly, but unfortunately had a little bit of an emergency with one of his sons who apparently twisted something that he wasn't supposed to twist during some football practice this evening.
That's all about sports. We definitely wish him speedy recovery and hope it's nothing bad.
Yeah, we love you, Brent. We'll hope to see you soon. Hope everyone's doing okay. Okay, Marcus, Cowboys Saints this weekend. Go ahead, lay it on me.
I mean, hey, it is what it is. You know, that was the one for the ages for sure. All of my people, everyone from back home, have been gearing up for that game for some time now. It's been a couple of years since we played each other, but to be playing in Dallas, the AT&T Stadium, and coming out on fire like that, it was amazing. And so, like, all of my people this week are so quiet. They're so quiet, and I'm just trolling up and down the Facebook timeline. So it's been a good thing. I mean, to see us playing well. Dallas always have good seasons. We're going to say the regular seasons, but to see us come out, David Carr is playing extremely well. We're going to cross our fingers that he continue to play at that level, and you never know. You never know.
Well, and I think I read somewhere that they've scored on 15.
Every possession.
They've had 15 possessions in their two games, and they scored on every single one. That's really impressive. Very impressive.
Very impressive. Definitely something that we didn't foresee happening. The defense has been stellar. And, with a team like the Dallas Cowboys, who always have a stellar defense, it always gives the offense a little bit more confidence. You can, play a little bit more lax, a little bit loose. And so I think that's, kind of what we're rolling on right now. And, like I said, hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Well, the pain continues for this Cowboy fan. It appears we're going to have to go yet another year without a Super Bowl because I had a sense of optimism after they beat up on Cleveland in that first game in Cleveland. Then they come home and just get slaughtered by the Saints. And Saints, you guys played really well. Cowboys did not. Yeah. Simple as that.
It's one of those emotional games. Like we said before on the pod, that once you get down in games like that, it's so hard to get the momentum back. when the team is playing well. Dak threw the ball extremely well in the first half, and he still was behind chasing. And when you're in that mode of where you're trying to chase and catch back up and the team is playing well, it's hard to get that momentum back. And like I said, me playing on the road, maybe they feel the same way against the Dallas Cowboys and them boys crowd, and being there is just, everything was just clicking on all cylinders.
Well, again, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Outside of that, obviously it made for a great weekend for you. Cyclones are still undefeated, right? Still 2-0. We had our bye week. What were you up to over the bye weekend?
This past weekend we went up to visit our son Marcus Jr. up there in Idaho. Just hopped in the vehicle, hopped in the wife's car and drove up there and surprised him. Spent a little time up there with him. Loved on him a little bit, with the family. Checked on him, make sure everything is, because he's been up there a couple of weeks in school, so to make sure everything is going extremely well for him. And, watched a couple of games, of course, over the weekend. Watched a couple college football games, even though we weren't playing, so that made it a lot easier for me stress-wise. But, getting around to Sunday, being able to watch that game, I actually prolonged the drive back a couple hours to be able to sit around and catch that one. So it was pretty fun, pretty good weekend, other than the driving.
Good. Well, before we start talking a little bit about the Cyclones, I had some interesting news that I can't remember if it was yesterday or today, but I don't know if you saw it, Marcus, but the University of Tennessee is now charging a 10% talent fee that they're adding to season football, or I think it's just season tickets, probably for basketball, football, any sport. But found that it must have been yesterday that was announced, because I was listening to the Iowa State Coach's Corner show that is broadcast over the radio and online by the athletic department. And Jamie Pollard had spoken a little bit about that. He's not a big fan of it, but it's a bit of an interesting concept to charge fans. What are your thoughts on that, having to pay an additional 10% fee on top of your season tickets to help pay for some of the NIL stuff?
Well, that's what I was about to ask. What is it like in terms of what for? It's kind of like, after the 9/11 incident with the, $2 or $3 what airport fee on every ticket that you pay for. So this is the first time I'm hearing about it, kind of, mixed feelings about it. If it's going to go towards the student athletes, that's going to help the teams get better. I mean, is it necessarily a bad thing? 10%, I don't know how much it equates per ticket, but I guess that depends on what team or what organization that you're a part of. But we'll see what's going to happen. Like I said, it's the first time we're hearing about it.
Well, I think every school is looking for a revenue stream that they could tap into. And, at some point, I just get the feeling that fans are going to get exhausted by costs going up and then having to pay for this. And, I think the collectives are going to look very different in another year, maybe as soon as in the next couple of months, with some of the court decisions that they need to still work through. And, boy, it's the new reality of college athletics. It feels very much like the pro game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of money that's been passed through over the years. A lot of us missed a lot of it, but we crawled so the young fellas and the young ladies now can walk and run extremely fast. So, I mean, I get it. The whole dynamic of everything has to change. It was going to get to the point where it was going to change. But, as long as we can keep some kind of hold on it, try to keep some kind of hold on it, hopefully, it allows for the other schools, the smaller schools or whatever, to be able to compete. Because now, there's no real favorites. You remember Alabama always been on the top of football. The whole dynamic of the playoff structure and everything now has changed. And so I think it's going to make it a lot more interesting and a lot more competitive top to bottom.
Well, shifting gears over then, Saturday's the big game. We're coming back off of the bye, 1 p.m. game against Arkansas State. Was listening to the Sidecast with John Walters and Eric Heft. They talked a little bit did a little preview of the game and some interesting finds They're coached by Butch Jones, who we're just talking about Tennessee, but former Tennessee head football coach. And sounds like they've got a lot of talent at some key positions. I think they had 32 transfers coming in this year, which is an awful high number. They played Michigan this last weekend and didn't look too bad. They're giving up 230 some odd rushing yards a game, which I would hope that we could capitalize on. And they've got a dual threat quarterback who, back in the day, I have to admit, dual threat quarterbacks would scare the hell out of me. But, I guess in John Heacock, I trust, since he's been on board as the defensive coordinator, we seem to do all right against those type of athletes. Any thoughts on this upcoming game on Saturday?
Well, I think we're rolling pretty good. Hopefully, the guys were able to get some rest in, that they're banged up, could come out this Saturday and continue this win streak going. I think, as being off for a week, we're probably going to start off a little rusty, but as the game continues on, I think we're going to find our footing and, start capitalizing on some things and mistakes that we probably would have did early on. But I think we're going to still pull that one out. It's going to be interesting to see. Having a dual threat quarterback to go up against is definitely something that's going to help us in the long run for the rest of the season.
Is there anything that you really want to see out of either the offense or the defense that you're going to be keying on, whether it's, hey, I'm looking for improvement with this group or this line, this offensive group, defensive group, anything in particular that you're going to be keyed in on Saturday?
Nothing particularly anything. I like to see the running backs to really start to open up a little bit more. We know our area attack has been pretty good for the most part of the season. I favor defense more than anything, so I'd like to see those guys get at it on the defensive end. But like we always know, for me during the season and stuff like that, I just turn into a fan. I don't, Brent is more of it's kind of like me in basketball. I will be able to break things down this way and that way. During the football season, I'm literally turning into a fan and just, cursing at the TV and focus on the TV and worrying about us winning and losing. And just seeing, spectacular plays. I like competitive games. I don't like games to be blowouts unless it's against Iowa. If it's against Iowa, then, I want the 68-0. But in any other games, I like to see in competitive games where, we're in control and seeing some different things happen. But in the end, I definitely want to win the ball game. But that's how I am mostly during the football season.
Well, you talked a little bit about Rocco in the passing game. John and Eric this afternoon had made reference that Rocco is 22 for 25 on first downs, which I think is incredible. I mean, that's a great way to set up your running game if you're able to pass that efficiently on first down. I guess one of the things that I'm going to be keyed in on is Jalen Travis. So Jalen is Jalen. He's a transfer from Princeton, offensive lineman. I wrote this down. He's 6'7", 340. That's a big mover. Senior, he transferred in again. That interestingly enough, he played basketball in high school with Iowa State's Gabe Kalsher. So he's an athletic guy. I think he's going to be able to move some bodies. He just started practicing back up during the bye. I don't think he'll start, but I think from what I've heard that they're optimistic that he'll be able to get some snaps in. And I'll be curious to see what he does both with the passing game as well as with the running game, because I think that as we proved towards the end of last year, we can run the ball, but we really haven't shown the consistency yet this year.
Yeah, I think this year they're coming back with a lot more confidence than they had last year. We began to get better as the season progressed. The season progressed last year, but this year I think we came in with a little bit of a different swag than we had last year, and they're a little bit more focused. Every time you get some reps up under your belt and continues to move on throughout the year, things get a lot better. And when you have some guys that's been around, Rocco has been around for an entire season. The mistakes that he made last year, he's definitely looking to correct this year. and then just going from there. So as long as, you know, Coach Campbell and the coaching staffs can keep the guys focused and, you know, looking at the big picture of how wide open this thing is in the Big 12 now, you know, anything can happen for sure.
But 6'7", 340. I mean, that's Marcus Spicer size playing at the tackle position.
No, I was 6'8", 250. I think 340s was that would have been like Marcel Howard or Nigel Tharp. Those are some big boys.
Well, in this weekend too, it's Hall of Fame weekend. We've got some former athletes that are going to be coming back for that.
Nice.
Yeah, so Kelechi Osemele will be back for that game. I think he's really excited about it.
I didn't see the
from a
list.
Basketball perspective, Melvin Ejim is going to be inducted as well. I don't think he's going to be able to be here because he's playing basketball overseas and he's not able to make it back. And then Lindsay Metters-Feneley. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Lindsay, think of her as a lot like Emily Ryan is today. She was the spark plug for that offense for Coach Feneley during her years of playing, and boy, she was a fun one to watch. She was part of the Twister Sisters group.
Nice. Yeah, I hadn't seen the list. You know, maybe I hadn't been on Twitter a whole lot. You know, football season is starting up now, so you know I get on it a little bit. Even though I didn't give it to the Iowa fans as much as I normally would this year. But yeah, I didn't see the list. I would definitely love to see the list, and definitely congratulations to everyone that was, you know, considered and inducted. And, you know, it's always a good time. I definitely enjoyed my time back there in 2015.
Well, you must be getting soft in your old age then if you're not giving grief to the Hawkeye fans.
Yeah, I just, you know, been doing a lot. School just started up for the kids, you know, trying to wrap up some stuff with the businesses and stuff that me and my wife own, and just been focused a little bit on that. So I think they got it pretty easy, you know, this year. Even with the Cowboys fans losing to the Saints this year,
you're just going to keep rubbing it in, aren't you?
Exactly, especially for this week.
So last week, immediately following our show, Hawks Eye View was on, and so I jumped on their show and just kind of gave them a little bit of grief through their Facebook channel, just to rub it in just a little bit about the Cyclones in the win there. But good group of guys over there. So if you have a chance to listen in, give Andrew and Drew a listen. They're very knowledgeable about Hawkeye athletics.
I should hop on there once or twice with those guys and have some fun.
Another thing that is coming up. So Matt Campbell is 1 win away from tying Dan McCarney for most wins in Iowa State history. I think that's another reason to show up for this weekend's game.
Yeah, that'd be sweet for sure. To even be there, and you know, if there's a program or football or something to get him to sign once he gets that win, because I definitely feel like we're gonna definitely bring it home against Arkansas State this weekend.
Well, and I want to, you know, and it's too bad Brent's not here because, you know, Brent played under Coach Mack, and I would love to hear his thoughts on some of the comparisons between Coach Campbell and Coach McCarney. And, you know, I think a lot of us forget we're in this new era with both basketball and football, but, you know, I think it's easy to forget what Mack did, what he had to work with. You know, we're talking about a guy that was out and knocking on doors in the dorm rooms and fraternity and sororities, just, hey, come to the games, please, you'll have a good time. And then, you know, we had those years with Troy Davis that, you know, running for 2,000 yards in consecutive seasons. I think he's the only back to have ever done that in the history of the NCAA.
Yes.
Someone can fact check me on that.
That is a fact, 100% fact.
And won the first bowl game in Iowa State history at the Inside.com Bowl, which I was fortunate to be able to attend. So Mack really sort of set that course, and of course Campbell's taken it to another level. And and I think we should also give credit to Jamie Pollard, who's done remarkable things with the athletic facilities and with the programs, all the programs at overall to be able to sustain that level of success and to be able to get the coaches what they need to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. Coach Mack was definitely pivotal in my career as well. You know, even though I didn't play football, but him allowing me to come over to work out with the football team and train at their facilities definitely helped transform, you know, my freshman year to my sophomore and ultimately my junior year. It was no fun. Definitely was no fun working out with Getty over there and those guys because, you know, the level of strength is so much different in basketball and in football, but it definitely paid off in the end. So I definitely appreciate everything that he did, you know, allowing me to come in, being cool with the whole process and everything, and helping me progress my game.
What were some of the differences that you saw being from the basketball team and being part of that program versus football in terms of the weightlifting and some of the workouts? What did you notice any discernible differences?
Well, it's more, especially back then, you know, we're talking 20 something years ago, where it's be as strong as you can, especially as a inside player. So it was more of core, you know, lower center of gravity to the ground, posting up, you know, against, you know, double teams and stuff coming. Different things like that, different things that you wouldn't necessarily do in a basketball setting. And that's why I said, like, it was such a shock to the system because I had never, you know, trained in that way. At the time, you know, I didn't understand it. You know, I'm saying, oh shit, I'm not playing football, I'm playing basketball. As a kid, trying to get out of, you know, the pain and everything that you're going through. But once you get through the initial, you know, first or second week of it all, and you training and your body get acclimated to it, and then once you see the results, you know, that was during the off season. So we were training and playing, you know, open gym and pickups and stuff as the basketball team. And then, you know, to go from training to working out and then go get on the court and I could see, you know, my lift and pop and movement, it was starting everything to come together. And I understood that it was important, you know, in my body structure and the strength that I was trying to build in order to, you know, withstand some of the abuse and things that I will get in the post. I accepted it, and you know the rest is history. So I definitely appreciate that for sure.
Well, you got grief in the post, beat up in the post, just in practice, much less the games.
Oh my goodness! You know, if it was with, you know, Clint Varley and you know the rest of those guys, you know, I mean, I even had to go against Kentrell and Stevie. Like those guys weren't weak either. Martin was extremely, you know, tough and strong. Tony Rampton, my freshman year, Clay Edwards, all of those guys were just, you know, wearing me down in the post. But, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, I knew it was something that I needed to do. I wanted to be, you know, as big as strong as Clay. And, you know, I figured, you know, Coach Stacey said, well, I got an idea. And send you over to the football program. I already talked to Coach Mack, and I was like, I don't know about that. But, you know, went over there, the rest is history. And like I said, I dreaded it, but, you know, it helped.
So you brought up Stevie Johnson, and we've talked about him previously. So is that what spearheaded him to join the football program, or some of these workouts where did you Stacey send both of you guys over, and Stevie just said, hey, I think I'll play football next year?
Stevie was probably one of the most athletic players in Iowa State history in any sport. You know, Stevie was just a freak of nature athletically. You know, basketball, football. He played football in high school, from what I remember and everything. But he's just, you know, there weren't too many things that he can do, you know, speed-wise, strength-wise, and all of that. So once his eligibility for basketball was over, you know, and he was, you know, wanted to continue to play a different sport. That's why he was able to, you know, switch over to football so easily for him. But, you know, he was just a freak of nature athletically.
Well, and he was a guy, too, that when he came over, you thought, oh, this ought to be interesting. And he played some pretty important minutes for that football team that went to the Inside.com.
Yeah, and that's just a testament to, you know, his genetics and things like that. Like we said, he was always one of the fastest guys on the team, you know, in basketball. So we knew it would translate, you know, once he put on pads and things like that. If he was taking hits in basketball without the pads on and now he can deliver, punishment with pass on in football. We knew he was going to have some success with it.
So before we take a break, I wanted to sort of circle back around with some of that news on the University of Tennessee and their 10% talent fee. I don't know if you saw this morning, I got a text alert that ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, and I probably just butchered that name, so we'll just call him Woj, announced that he was leaving
Really?
ESPN to join his alma mater, St. Bonaventure, to be their general manager, which I found very interesting that they are having these new positions pop up within the universities, much like you do within industry and business and within the professional ranks. Any thoughts on that? I mean, and then my next question is, if I would say were to call you and say, Marcus, name the position that you want to do, whether it's coach or in the administration, what would that look like? But so first, what do you think of Woj's move to St. Bonnie to be their GM?
I know the deal probably got a couple of commas in it for sure. That's first and foremost. Because I mean, he's been a staple at ESPN for so long, without a doubt. So it has to be something along the lines of that, and a secure position that makes him wants to go back to his alma mater and do something great and positive in that aspect. So it's no surprise. It's probably an easier role for him, to be a part of. So definitely wish him the best of luck. And for me, I mean, in any capacity that, to help out the basketball team, I'm definitely open for, without a doubt. I don't care if I was the janitor and they needed me to be a de facto coach. I'm going to find some kind of way to get down there on the floor. But
you probably need a couple commas in there, don't you?
The couple commas would be nice as well. It's, if not a couple commas, one solid comma will work. But it would definitely be an honor without a question. If something like that comes about, I'm definitely open to it. Without a doubt. But we'll see what happens. It's interesting, like you said. It's really starting to turn to that side of everything being a business. The whole thing of student athletes are going to be looked at as employees and all of that type stuff. So you have to understand, like, the funnel of the structure of everything has to be set up in that way in order to be successful. I think the national championships on all sports are going to change now.
Well, it's basically that salary cap master who has to understand the budget, figure out ways for new revenue sources, and how to bring in those athletes, and the sales pitch on keeping your current athletes, bringing in new ones. It's like the professional game.
I think the biggest thing that they want to focus on is trying to retain athletes, because it's, I don't know if there's any kind of tampering situation or anything like that in the NCAA now, but it has to be something, because there's too many kids that are just trying. I mean, as soon as the season is over, it's like the portal is just packed with student athletes looking to move on. And where are you moving on to? And why are you moving on? And why are you moving on so fast? Like, it's just always something really, really fast that's happening. And if you can focus on retaining these athletes, and if you're trying to build something, you got to build something. You can't, if we win a national championship one year, then the next year, this guy's get a bigger NIL somewhere else and he leaves, then we can't build. I remember back in the day, like, you used to get at least 2 or 3 years of a good set dynasty. But now if you can't get that because kids are moving on, then what are you going to do?
Yeah. All right. Let's take a quick break. I want to ask you on the other side. I've got a Michael Jordan question for you. So we'll leave that as the teaser, and we'll hear a word from our sponsors.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa-born, Iowa-aged, Iowa-bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right. Were you an A-Team kid growing up? Just hearing that music is so nostalgic for me.
A little bit. I used to love that van. My grandfather used to always have vans. It didn't matter. We've always had a big family, and
hopefully those vans had windows. You know, you get a little creeped out with people driving around in vans without windows.
Yeah, but the 18 van had that one like window that's in the back, the little round window. But it was, he had it souped up. It probably had a 350 crate engine inside of it. The motor was just so. The way he used to do donuts and pillouts and stuff used to always, impress me. So growing up as a kid, being in my grandfather's vans, it wasn't those type vans, but it was a little nostalgia with it all together, putting it together.
Well, and our other sponsor there, Revelton Distillery, has been with us from the very beginning. I saw a little thing on social media that they had put out about some of their expansion, and their growth has been absolutely phenomenal. And they're already at a point where they're planning for a third warehouse in the next 6 to 18 months. And they're like 3 years ahead of schedule of where they ever thought that they were going to be at this point in their business life. So just awesome. Really happy for Rob and Christy Taylor and the growth that they've had. And so if you've not checked them out yet, you better now, because now's the time. They got great new products coming out as well. And of course, I've got my standard Revelton Mulberry Gin, which is personally my favorite. I'm actually, if I could put in a little plug, if you haven't tried this, do you guys have this out in Vegas? The Zero Sugar Sprite Chill?
No, I mean, I wouldn't have seen it. I don't drink a lot of soda or anything like that. So, I don't recall seeing it.
Well, so
tonight, it's probably, it's Vegas, so it probably is.
That's right. So that's what I'm mixing my mulberry gin up. All right, so we teased it a little bit. Michael Jordan. I don't know if you saw this, but he finally sold his mansion outside Chicago.
Wow, did he?
12 years on the market for $45 million.
So
I don't know who, but I bet Dan Douglas with Green Beret Realty is going, I'd love to have a portion of that commission. $45 million.
But see, that's the thing. Like, who purchased it? Because for so many years he was trying to get $29-30 million for it, and it would not move.
Yeah,
I mean, at all for years and years and years. Even the times that when I got drafted and we went to visit them there and all that different stuff, and it's a phenomenal.
Okay, that's my question. Place. So you've been there. Yes,
where we used to live, my rookie year, my first house was actually the next block over from his home. It's like off Half Day Road. I forget the name of the other big street, but like I used to have to pass his house every day going to practice. Like the big 23 fence. If you drove up to the gate and you stood out there too long, then those security guards would come around the corner and ask you what you're doing. But it had been on the market for so long for like $30 million. So he kept reducing it, kept reducing it, and to get 45, I wonder who purchased it, what they're going to do with it. Are they going to make like a museum type thing, or Is somebody buying it to live in it, or what's the case?
Well, Chris Shipley just posted that it's Diddy's new hideout once he makes bail.
Oh, Diddy's not making bail. Well, no, he's not getting the bill. He's not bonding now. He's
$50 million.
Definitely.
Wow. He wanted to bond out at $50 million, and
$50 million. He still said twice.
Yeah.
So
I tell you who's not buying it. I'm not buying it. It doesn't sound like you're buying it either.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
I'm interested in seeing who bought that and what it was for.
I am too. So this house has 9 bedrooms, 19 baths. So if you have a party, that's the place to be. 32,000 square foot, and you probably have seen the basketball court, I'm going to assume, and the gym and pool and grill area and cigar room.
Mm-hmm. But
the cigar room.
No, I didn't go to cigar room. I don't smoke cigars. But this is 2024. I was drafted in 2000, 24 years ago, and so like that house has been like it's a phenomenal place. It was phenomenal 24 years ago. How is it now?
Yeah, someone commented on social media that they've seen pictures on, I don't know, the Zillow or someplace, and it's the interior is a little bit outdated, which I can imagine. It has to be,
right.
All right. So if you buy it, are you keeping the 23 on the gate?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like there's in that place, the only thing you will really probably change is, the amenities, showers and stuff like that, maybe the crown molding and stuff like that. But everything else, I like it. Just leave it the way it is. It's not a bad place, but it's like I said, it's been over 24 years. Let's say 20 years, since I was last there. So,
all right, I'm saying 14,000 or 14,855,000 is what's being shown on the screen. I don't know where I got the 45 million, but
okay.
I
So see what I'm saying?
14.5 million either, but that's
what I'm saying. So for the 14.8, I remember when it was 29.30 for the 14.8. That's a deal for as long as it's been on the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, for the 15 million. So one of the guys now who plays for the Bulls, those standard contracts in the NBA now, that's nothing for them. I can see one of them, right? I see one of them buying it without a doubt easily. But 45 million is a little bit different than the 30 or the 14, 15 million that they're showing now. For the 15 million, I can totally get it and understand it.
All right. So one thing that we're just as we're getting on the show, I don't know if you caught it, but I'm going to be traveling next week for work. I'll be actually on your side of the country in Tucson. And you've flown a lot. Where is the best seat on the airplane? Are we talking aisle, middle, or are you more of a window guy?
I'm more of a window guy because I can get up inside of the window and lean up against it. If I'm in the aisle, then I'm too broad and wide at my elbows, and in the window I can hide my legs up under the seat versus the knee poking out and stuff like that. So for me, it's always best if I can get the window because I'm a sleeper. I'm out before I hear by the time I wake up, all I hear shh because I don't feel a takeoff or nothing. I'm already gone.
I don't sleep well on planes. I've never have. I've flown on these long flights like to Europe or to Asia, and I cannot.
I'm out like a light.
Really?
Like a light. I mean, before we even take off, I'm gone.
All right. And then shifting, this might be my last question for the night for you, but did you see the crazy video with Jane's Addiction? So they're out on a tour, and Dave Navarro and Perry Farrell got into a fight during the middle of a song at their concert. Concert's now canceled.
No. The ship got that video?
I don't know. I apologize, Chris. I probably should have told you what I was going to ask Marcus tonight before we jumped on, but I thought it was just absolutely. If you Google it, there. It is. So they're jawing at each other, and boom!
Wow.
Got a little physical. Needless to say, the concert's now over.
Oh, how much longer do they have?
Yeah, that's a darn good question. But the tour has been canceled as well, from what I understand. So my question for you, Marcus, have you gotten into fisticuffs with a teammate in practice or in games? We hear stories of Michael Jordan, and that there'd be some pretty aggressive behavior out on the court. Now, they're professionals, so that's going to happen. And he's notorious for setting a certain standard for his teammates. And if they fail to do that, he'd get right up in their face, and inevitably a few punches would be thrown. Have you ever had a situation like that with one of your teammates?
No,
and you don't have to name who they are.
No, not in basketball or anything like that. Because I'm always like a focused guy where I try to focus on diffusing and being, because for me, if that happens and once that occurs, like someone's getting hurt, I don't care if it's me or them, whatever. And I never want to get to that place really. There has been tension and, all that different things or whatever just comes with the competitive nature. The one thing that I can probably say is I went on a tour of playing once I got a little bit older overseas in China. We was over in Beijing. I think it was Beijing. And Max Skillman, who used to be, with the basketball organization when I was at Iowa State. So me and Matt had known each other, for years and years and years. He's one of the head managers when I was there. And so he was doing a tour and was playing over there or whatever, and I had just flown in. So I wasn't playing that game. And it was an outside court on concrete and whatever, this basketball game. And I definitely wasn't playing on that.
Wait, so this is an actual game?
Pro game over in China.
On concrete, and, outside.
Outside. And so it was, some things was going back and forth with the players or whatever, and, got into a scuffle with the other team. And so, like, I'm out there, I literally have on jeans and stuff trying to break up everyone. And I don't know who the guy was, but it was this big China guy from China, Chinese guy, about 7'1". They just came out of nowhere. And he was just hitting Matt on the top of his head, and just, and while we're trying to separate our players from them. And I just turned around and clean just knocked them out onto the ground. And, everybody just dispersed or whatever, and we got everybody away. And I just remember in that moment, just, how much adrenaline I had, and I had never been a part of nothing like that. I'm in China. I don't know, what's going to happen at the end of that or whatever. We got to the bus and everyone left. But that's the only thing like I've ever had like on court wise to even, be a part of anything like that. And me and Matt talked about it. We laughed about it. He, thanked me for, being there. But it was just, like I said, we've known each other for years. So it's, we're like brothers, like family. So to even be in that situation, to have that, come about, I'm not a fighter or anything like that, but I definitely defend, mine and things like that. But yeah, it's just out of the blue. I just, cold cocked them and knocked them out straight on the court.
That may not be the right choice in a country like China. You could be thrown in jail for 50 years.
And that's the thing. Like I was so nervous. I spoke to my wife afterwards, and just, spoke with my parents and stuff like that. Cause I was like, man, I had just gotten there. I said, if I got to get back to this country, don't be surprised if I'm on the plane back. But it was so quick and so instinctive that, because I didn't understand, like, Matt wasn't doing anything when fighting. He was just trying to, because he was a coach. He was trying to get his players back. And then the biggest guy on the court was picking on him. And so I saw it, and I just turned around and just one right straight to the chin. He just.
So did you finish? Did the game get finished?
No, everything was canceled. Everything stopped.
Canceled.
We exit stage left the court, one got on the buses and got out of there.
No charges, obviously.
Obviously, no. That was what I've been out in Vegas 11 years. That's been about 10 years ago.
So there's still a chance that you fly into China, you're arrested and detained.
I don't. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm not going to China unless they send in a couple of zeros for something, or a couple of commas for something.
All right, Marcus. Well, it's been good having you. Boy, we hope that everything's going okay with Brent and his family and his son. That the injury is minor, and I think we've all kind of been there as parents where the kid's twisted something. You go in, it's really not a big deal. Sometimes when you're a young athlete, you hear something pop and you think it's the end of the world, and then the next day you're not doing so bad. So we're hoping the best for the Curvey family, and cheer on the Cyclones. 1:00 Central Time, coming from Ames, Iowa, against the Arkansas State Red Barons, I think, or Red Tails, or something like that. So it's been another episode of In the Side of the Storm. We thank everyone. We'll see you next time.